You're about to watch a Trains Newswire video. If you enjoy what you see, consider looking at some of our other full-length videos. Chicago, America's railroad capital. 20th Century Limited. And a new collection of top-quality documentaries from producer Rich Luckin. All of these and more are available on our website, kalmbachhobbystore.com. Good morning, Trains Nation. Today is Friday, July 21st, 2017, all day until midnight. Thank you for joining another episode of Trains Newswire Roundup. I am Steve Sweeney.
Hi, I'm Jim Wrinn, and we are glad you guys are here. We got a bunch of news to go through. 73 stories on Newswire so far this week, and the day is still young.
Yes, it is.
What will Steve Sweeney and his crew of news gatherers scattered all over the country and all over the world find about railroading to educate and delight you?
Yes, all the news that's fit to publish, including at least 2 videos so far this week. I think
Nice.
we've got at least one more coming.
Nice. We've
got exclusives, we got CSX to talk about. But Jim, you know, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I gained an appreciation for the weird and the wacky.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to really quickly tick off the weird and wacky things that I noticed this week so far. Is that
Starting
okay?
out weird and wacky is a good way to do
Okay.
it.
All right. So weird
We
and
can
wacky.
end that way too, probably.
Yeah, probably. Weird and wacky. So, okay. In no certain order. In Minnesota, Iron Horse Railroad Park has lots of storm damage. A tree crashed through a boxcar.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. We have got T-1, Pennsy T-1 group that are trying to build from scratch.
A replica of the
Replica
famous
4444.
steam locomotive.
They have a new cab.
I saw that.
They've got a structural cab out there, which is kind of cool. In the United Kingdom, Southern Rail had a week with Eddie on Twitter.
Their 15-year-old customer service person. Hey, I'm
digging it. I think
awesome.
we should do that at
And
Trains.
the Brits, you know, you got to admit, you know, because the Brits are so enamored of the railroads and people, it's part of the culture.
Yeah.
You know, a 15-year-old, I think, could do a really good job in England.
Yes.
No question about it.
He did.
They know their railroads cold. I mean.
Yeah. Well, in addition to
railroads.
asking about train schedules, someone said, you know, should we do fajitas or tacos? And he said, fajitas, obviously. Like, okay.
Smart kid.
That's kind of cool. Weird and wacky. CSX ordered by a jury to pay $3.9 million to the family of a film crew who was killed while trespassing on a railroad bridge. Something that the industry did not think would happen. CSX is going to be fighting that.
I can't imagine that won't get struck down later on. I hope so anyway. I mean, it's obviously a bad ruling toward the railroad, and you know, let's just go ahead and admit it. You know, the lawyers always go for the deepest pockets.
Yes,
and
they do.
That's what's going on there. So, yeah, that one. Let's plan on reporting about that again when it's overturned.
Yep.
It doesn't need to stand.
Totally agree. Not too far from where you grew up in Coburn, Virginia, people working on the Coburn Depot were taking care of the plumbing, trying to expand the space and update it when they found a whole bunch of 130-year-old journals and documents. So they're going to get that preserved and donated to the historical societies.
Good stuff.
Which is kind of fun. And then the weirdest and wackiest thing, we've got a story out there from Yakima Valley in Washington about a trolley that narrowly escaped a wildfire. So all those stories and much more on Newswire. So that's the weird and wacky out of the way. I had to say that because I think it's fun.
Go check those out.
Brightens my week.
Go check those out.
We got a whole bunch of big stories, but what has piqued your interest so far?
You know, something to put on your calendar next month. Soo Line 1003 in Nice Mikado. Read a story about it in our Big Steam is Back special issue. Visiting Chicago, 200-mile trip for it. That engine doesn't get out very often from its home up in Hartford, Wisconsin. Doesn't get out very much, doesn't stray far away from home, so a trip to Chicago is pretty big for that locomotive. So don't have details on the deadhead move. It's not an excursion, but you could watch it. But it's going to be on display as a benefit for Shriners Hospital and in Chicago, August 12th. So put that on your calendar, and we'll share details of the ferry move closer on. A piece of news that was on our Newswire this week that gladdened my heart, CP rolling out their first locomotives repainted in the renewed beaver paint scheme. So really sharp looking. Like that one a lot.
Yeah,
and
it's nice and crisp. They simplify the logo so it's not antique looking anymore. Yeah. It's really nice and modern.
It's good looking, and you know, to be honest with you, a better looking CP would fit well for everybody right now,
Yeah.
especially since they're out our backyard and we see
Yep.
these guys all the time.
Totally agree.
My weird and wacky for this week was NS eliminating the Central Division. And I saw the revised map, and it's kind of weird because I think they're down to like 6 or 7 divisions on
Right.
NS now. And some of the distributions of some of the divisions are really weird. You know, Alabama goes way up into Tennessee and Georgia. But the really one that freaks me out, being North Carolinian, is that the Pocahontas Division now controls much of the NS in North Carolina, which I'm like, what?
How does that work out?
How does that work out? I'm not sure, but that was pretty bizarre. CSX earnings call this week. They had a good call, but there was some really strange things going on the call. And Hunter Harrison talking about being a short timer and things like that actually sent their stock price plummeting.
Like 3 or 4%.
Yeah. So I know they want to forget that happened. And then the other piece of good news. Plan your Halloween around Roanoke, Virginia this year, because that is the inaugural date for the extension of the Amtrak service.
Yes.
So there's an Amtrak train. It'll come out of Boston, go to Roanoke, and vice versa, obviously up the Northeast Corridor. And I just love seeing that Northeast Corridor continue to creep southward, because really and truly, once you get south of Washington, D.C., between there and Atlanta, it's just one big city all along.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. You just run out of one into another. There's a few places out in the country in Virginia. We can talk after this about Virginia's zoning laws, which are far superior to a lot of other states. But anyway, yeah, Roanoke passenger service, Amtrak, October 31st. They've been working on this for years. And eventually, hopefully it'll get on out to Radford, which has a university, pretty good sized student population, and then on down to Bristol. And, from there, then there's Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, all those other places.
They go all the way to the Pacific.
Keep going, guys. Keep going.
Sorry.
Yep, keep going.
A little bit closer to home, Talgo, the Spain-based passenger car manufacturer, has reopened its shop in Milwaukee, and they're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we are, and they're going to be remanufacturing LA Metro heavy rail cars.
Yep.
So that's kind of good.
Doing some overhauls there.
And this is the first time that they're remanufacturing equipment. They've always been a new builder.
Right.
But this is completely new to them, and they're doing it in Milwaukee.
And this is a contract that's going to go on for a few years, if I remember.
Yeah, I think like 8 years. Well, I mean, they could finish it up early if they finish the work, but I think they said like 8 years and dozens of cars.
Some pretty amazing economics at work there. The fact that you can haul that stuff from Los Angeles all the way halfway across the country, do the renovation and ship it back at presumably a profit.
At a profit and still be cost effective for LA.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Other quick things to see on Newswire this week. The Short Line Association says that they have more than 50% of the House and the Senate supporting the short line tax credit.
Oh, that's good.
To be made permanent. They've been banging the drum on this for years, so watch more details on that.
I know those guys have been sweating it every time it comes up for renewal, so good on them for trying to get it to be made permanent.
Good for them. And then the other thing we're following closely, there's a new 700-page, or there's a large report out from FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, on reinstituting Gulf Coast passenger service between New Orleans and Jacksonville, or New Orleans and Florida somewhere. So there's a 700-page index. Our Bob Johnston is reading every single page and scouring details and getting more information. So we've got one story up now, and we expect more stories either today or early next week once he gets actual details nailed down. But lots of stuff on Newswire.
I'm going to go back and reread that one, because I noticed I think the kicker was that the price tag was $117 million.
I think $170 million.
$170 million.
And that's the controversy. Wow. CSX says, and their engineering firm says, that it should take $2 billion. Wow. To get the Gulf Coast ready for passenger service.
But they just ran a train through there until a few years ago. Oh man.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, no, I mean, it's always surprising to me how much these extensions cost. The Roanoke extension we were talking about earlier was a $100 million project.
That's right.
So they ain't cheap, guys.
It's money. Costs money. So anyway, so we got those stories, plenty more. We got more coming up this afternoon. Keep watching Newswire. If you have short video clips that you want to, you know what? We have a video clip that we want to show people.
Oh yes.
Real quick. Earlier this week, Jim was watching an engineering special, but then we had some folks in Illinois catch the same Union Pacific engineering special, and so here it is in Normal, Illinois. And if you have news clips, news videos, just something you see on the right-of-way, go ahead and send me a link to it from your YouTube page or from wherever you've clipped it up. Send me an email at newswire@trainsmag.com. That's an email address, newswire@trainsmag.com. Be happy to take a look at it. And again, just send us any news tips that you might have and be glad to share it with our readers. But for everyone at Trains Magazine, have a great weekend.
Take care, everyone.